My name is Joe Allen. 4 years ago, I decided to film my adventures in the Ozark Mountains of southwest Missouri. With the help of some of my best friends, the Hunt Company was born. This is our story.
We just found my doe that I shot right over there.
The story of the Hunt Company actually began in the spring of 2012 in the turkey woods. I had just bought my first camera earlier that year and contacted Johnny Birchfield. He was probably my closest friend at the time who I hunted with, and asked him if he would be interested in coming out and helping me try to get some birds on film that year. This was before we even had any idea of what the Hunt Company was going to be or who was going to be involved. I was filming for another TV show and just knew that I needed to collect footage. It was interesting because we gave up some opportunities that year. That was the beginning of what I called for the next few years my turkey curse. I basically hunted really hard for 3 years in a row without killing a bird. It'll be interesting to watch how this story unfolds and the opportunities that we didn't necessarily miss. We had them in front of us, but we just gave up. Looking back on it over those next few years, I really regretted not taking the opportunities that we had. Spring turkey season of 2012 started out one morning. Johnny and I went out to this spot that we hadn't really scouted. We knew that there were going to likely be some birds out there, but we just walked in and found a nice field that we thought might be a good strutting zone, and walked in the dark, threw up a blind, and within the first 30 minutes or so of daylight, we had birds on top of us. And they came out into the field, and that morning I was actually filming Johnny, and he was hunting with a shotgun, and these two really nice toms came out in front of us and just walked straight across the field between 50 and 60 yards, and you can actually hear me on camera say stop or wait, something. I called him off.
Should I take it? Hold on, no.
We had a clear shot. Looking back on it, I think that with the shotgun he would have killed one of those birds, but it was the first hour of the first morning of the season, and I thought, man, this is going to be a really good spot. We need to hold off and wait for a good shot. And these birds just walked out of the field and got into the tree line and just stayed there, and they kept gobbling at us. I kept calling and thinking they would come back into the field, and we probably sat there for 2 hours, and they just never came back. We pretty much hunted every morning that season, and there was another opportunity one day when I was hunting, and I was hunting every day with my bow.
7 o'clock. We've heard one to our left, one to our right, and one right in front of us. We think we've got 3 in the area. 2 of them are pretty far away.
Johnny was filming me, and we had some jakes come in, and they walked within about 15 yards of us. They came from behind us, walked right along the side of us to our right.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're right here to me. What do you think? See if you can't get that last one. It's the biggest, I think. You see it? All right, man. Which one? Last. Yep.
I was able to actually stand up and get drawn on this bird, and I remember specifically looking through my peep sight and thinking, I don't want to kill a jake on film. And so I passed that opportunity again, thinking this was the first week and we were going to have so many opportunities at birds. This spot had proven to be such a great location.
Dude, that's a, I can take that shot. Are you gonna take it?
Never actually heard anything fly down. We just heard them gobbling, and we were kind of waiting for them to fly down. All of a sudden, 3 jakes walk in about 5 or 10 yards from us and kind of snuck up on us and came to draw on one of them and just decided to pass. It wasn't the best shot by the time we could get the angle on them, and had pretty small beards, so we decided to pass on those. Rethinking that now because it ended up being a strikeout again. Looking back, I just felt like it was such a mistake. I mean, any bird with a bow and arrow is a trophy, and for whatever reason, I felt like that wasn't the bird that I wanted to kill on film, and that was the beginning of my turkey curse. I would not have a shot on a bird for 3 years, and after that, and I hunted very hard.
Day 7, turkey woods. Man, this bird down there gobbling. Yeah. Team Real Tree Outdoors energy drink. It's not for city boys. Team Real Tree Outdoors. Team Real Tree. Team Real Tree Outdoors. It's not for city boys. But Johnny.
I have a cousin, James Hartzell, who has lived in Idaho most of his life, and his family has hunted one specific unit out there since he was a kid, and he invited me to come out during the fall of 2012, and knew that I was filming and had just started and needed to get some footage, and invited me to come out, and he was going to guide me and help film on an elk trip. And he had scouted in that unit pretty hard during the summer. I had my plane tickets booked for a specific week that he said would be the best week to be there. And he called me about 2 weeks ahead of time and said, hey, if you can change your plane tickets, it's happening right now. The bulls got cowed up really early that year.
Well, we got elk.
What do you think the odds are of them being there tomorrow morning?
They're going to be right in this area. Because they're not spooked.
You think they'll go work that top tonight
Probably.
and move down in the morning?
Yeah. As soon as we walked in, we saw 2 cows and an elk or a bull right up here on the top of this ridge behind us. This is a place where we came the first night and saw the spike of the cow walking up in the evening. So we came in here hoping to catch them coming down. He disappeared behind the ridge back here behind us, but I don't think he's gone very far. I'm just hoping that he'll come back over the hill here. He's close. He's coming. He's either going to come down this side or right behind us. So it's been like about an hour and a half. We sat here and we just waited. I know they were really close to us. We walked up the hill a little bit, looked around, and we found droppings. We found some fresh tracks.
I just couldn't make it. I couldn't change my schedule at work, change my plane tickets. So I came out there, during the time that I'd originally planned, and we saw elk every day, and we're close to bulls every day. I actually passed on a young bull and that was with a cow first 30 minutes of the first evening we were out, and just thinking that I didn't want to shoot a young bull, and I didn't really want to fill my tag with a cow. I was kind of in that trophy mindset of shooting a big bull. So we went out each day and we had bulls around us every day bugling, and we scouted really hard in the evenings and hunted really hard throughout the morning and the day. Just never had a shot at a bull until the last day. We had one that was 26 yards, and it was probably about 5 minutes too early for shooting light and definitely for camera light. So as we were sitting there 26 yards away from this bull just waiting for light, something spooked it, or it got a whiff of us, and it was on the other side of the mountain in about 3 seconds. That was a missed opportunity, but to be out there in the mountains for my first time and having that experience makes you realize how great hunting is. And I'd always been used to being in the whitetail woods, and this was just such a different experience.
He got right up above our heads here and then kind of broke back here to my right. And we started fumbling around trying to get our bows ready, because it was still probably not even shooting light, or barely was if it was. And he turned and kind of slowly made his way right through this hole here. And then in probably less than 15 seconds, he went from here over to there, and then over to that ridge there, and was gone.
So this was 2012. This was the 4th season of me going out to Colorado archery, elk hunting. And the area that we were going to was a draw area that was joined up with a public area also. So it was pretty unique. I would usually go with a group of guys that some of us would get drawn for the good unit, some wouldn't, and they would just hunt the non-draw unit. But this year I was fortunate enough to be drawn for the good unit. So we went out there, got camp all set up, everything was great. Opening day rolled around, we were up on the mountain before daylight, ready to rock and roll. It wasn't probably half an hour after daylight we came up on our first herd of elk, and just had no chance whatsoever to get on these, because when I say we came up on them, we literally came up on them as they were running past us. And I think we got a little bit of footage of an elk about 200 yards away, and that was all we saw of the herd. But still a good sign. It was a good start to the morning. We ended up walking around most of that day. We did have an encounter with a nice 5x4 bull. that was probably about 90 yards or so from us, just down in this meadow. It was a beautiful setting, but we were up above him and trying to get down to him. He was obviously catching on pretty quick that something was moving around in the woods and we weren't going to make it down to him. So we just kind of watched him walk off, and we're hoping to get back on him after he disappeared. But these elk, it's amazing how they can just be so quiet and just disappear, as big of an animal as they are. But that's exactly what he did. Once we got down to where he went over the little ridge, we never saw him again. So a little frustrating because I've never killed a bull, but that's how it goes. So we kept walking. We finished out the opening day with no success at all, which is okay because we were there for 10 days. We went to a totally different location, different mountain. We're just walking around. It was a good, again, the weather was great, and we spooked a cow. Didn't see any other elk with this single solitary cow, which I thought was kind of interesting. But we kept walking, and a little bit later, probably half an hour, 45 minutes later, we came up on this little draw, and just across on the other side of the draw was a single cow feeding by herself. Well, what I've come to learn archery hunting in Colorado is you don't take your opportunities for granted. And so I made the decision that it was not a big bull elk, but it was an elk that I was going to have the opportunity to harvest with my bow, which to me is a trophy regardless. But I was able to walk probably an extra 30 yards down the mountain to get a little bit closer to this cow that was just feeding on the other side. She had no idea we were there. We had great wind, completely blown away from us. And so I ended up getting to about 54 and a half yards from her, ranged her for her to come into an opening. And first opportunity I had, she presented a great broadside shot, and I let the arrow fly. Man, I just got lucky. I hit her right where I needed to hit her, and I watched her go about 15 yards and fall over.
Straight across the hill at the base of that tree.
I never moved, didn't have to go track her. She fell over almost right where she stood. So
that's awesome, dude. Read up. Sweet.
I was pumped. That's a heck of a shot for me, in my opinion. And to put an elk down with archery tackle, it's just an awesome feeling. Unfortunately, when you're filming your hunts, you do have some technical difficulties. So as we went and recovered her, for whatever reason, we didn't have any sound to go with that. So our recovery video didn't turn out very good, whether it be, I don't know, the mic quit working, or it might have been the cameraman forgot to turn the mic on. I don't know. But needless to say, we didn't have that on camera. But I was very blessed, felt very fortunate to be able to go out to Colorado, spend some time in God's country, and just chase after these just majestic animals with archery tackle. And I was successful this year. So
HHA sight, put it straight on 56, nailed her, perfect.
I began to learn quickly that first year in 2012 that hunting with a camera and an extra person in the tree was not going to be easy. I guess in the beginning I kind of thought that I was just going to go out and kill as many animals as I had before, but it didn't exactly work out that way. But even though we had a lot of mishaps and missed opportunities, what we did get on film was really awesome, and ended up being some of the best memories I had. And we just had a cheap handheld video camera, but I really wouldn't trade any of those filmed hunts for anything. It just, the memories we created that year just were priceless.